45-minute webinar. I do. I'm sure it's not.
Hopefully they're not trying to get on with the old link.
I told them, I said, this is really easy, isn't it? Pretty easy. Yeah. You know, there are people that are highly stressed live 10 to 15 years shorter lives, according to Wilson Church. Oh, I love her explanation of information. You don't want to go there, do you? Hmm? No, we don't put this on. It's the
You want to call them and ask them when they're planning on getting on?
They're changing clothes. It takes time. They have to go to their room. You check what?
Our sound configuration, I'm guessing.
Do it. Why not?
Well, I can't ever remember which one it's supposed to be.
Okay, they're on. Well, let's see if they hear us, right?
Yeah. I don't have to click them on, do I?
No. Hi, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
that's great.
Marion, you sound better this time. There were a few times last time when your voice was kind of garbled.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the mic or Tracy came through clear all the time.
Maybe check your batteries and make sure.
I don't know. Well, it just, I don't know what to do at this point.
I'll reorder. Yeah, the microphone's more in Tracy's direction. Is this
Okay.
better?
Oh, okay.
Ah.
Better?
Yeah, if you're using that microphone, that sounds clear.
Okay.
That was one time while I kind of repeated what you said because I couldn't quite hear it. Okay. Okie dokie.
All right, let's do.
So should we we'll try to do the third and the fourth now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, we haven't had our mics on.
Mine's on.
Hopefully now our mics are on. I don't know if does that sound different or.
No, it sounds the same right now.
I wonder if
the much louder. Did you had your mics on for the recording, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
for the previous recording, I'm just hoping the mics are coming through these mics and not our.
Oh, now I hear it even louder. So okay.
Okay.
I think you clicked it on.
Well, I think maybe it was coming through the computer.
But we'll see when you move from the computer back.
Well, we've got it set up the same way now that we did before, right?
Well,
or did you do anything different?
You know, in a Mac, I know how to choose, but this one I haven't chosen anything.
Well, then it's hopefully, you have it plugged in, right?
Well, yeah, I have it plugged in.
Okay.
Let me just, oopsie.
What?
That you look at each other.
We'll add in any graphics and things we can put in afterwards, after the fact.
You
Yeah.
can add in anything after.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we didn't do during the second webinar? Any
Oh, did you bring that?
activations or
That was
things?
downstairs.
No, I didn't. Want me to run down and get it?
Well, one of us should. Let me get it while you finish making sure that everything's up.
I can't see it from here. I'm not gonna do one of the graphics.
The light's starting to come up a little bit, so we may need to adjust.
I don't think
Techniques and solutions.
so. Maybe- Greg, do you want to introduce the next one, dealing with the obstacle of remaining awake, anxiety, stress, and anger? You want to introduce the title, or you don't care?
Well, okay. I'm open to doing it, but I need to have you. Oh, Gail's bringing it so I can read it.
So we could, if we want to start out with, how do you assess yourself now in the awakening? How are you doing in your homework?
Well, but maybe say welcome back to Now Total Seminar number
Number 3,
3.
dealing with the obstacle of remaining awake, anxiety. stress,
Dealing with the obstacle of
Remaining awake.
Here, the obstacles of remaining awake.
okay.
You can do anything you want with it. I can't see it, but it doesn't matter.
I have a friend that used to say that we can do anything we want. We're adults.
And we find out.
Just read it. Oh my God. Why did you print it so small?
Okie dokie. Let me turn on some light.
Oh, here. And then, Greg, we're going to need the change that so that they can see both of us, not just you.
Yes, I will change that. I will not hog this screen. I will do my. Well, I shouldn't have this on me for blowing my nose.
Why not? You're among friends. You're blowing all of our noses.
Oh, really? It's the one thing I know.
Yeah, blow
Right
crazy.
there.
You may think it's funny, but
I
it's
feel like
not.
my children are home.
It's not funny.
Could you change that, please?
Oh, she doesn't like Matt hogging the screen.
Okay.
I will not hog this screen.
All right. Now, it's,
That's better.
well, let's see. I'm not quite this way here.
Well, here, go this way.
Okay.
More like you were.
Okay.
Wow.
Oopsie, I have wires poking out. You can't see my wires.
No, but we can see your
Disproportionately revealing.
So your wires are what kind? Are you using a Sennelier?
And we're using what?
What kind of thing mic do you have?
You know
they're
what?
lavalier mics that are.
And you know what? I just realized I need to put this inside now.
Oh,
Is this better?
can I tuck it up your shirt, honey, for you? I love to put her mic on.
Not that exciting, trust me.
She says it's not exciting. Oh, I take all the excitement I can get at this time of life.
Okay.
Okay, here, let me move you over.
3:15.
Okay, Gail, say some things.
Hello, hello. I'm just reflipping. Is this okay where I have my?
Yep, this is okay. I think,
Do you hear us? Are we perfect?
yeah, I hear your mic. I'm gonna
What time is the, does it say?
I'm gonna put your
See what happens.
screen over this. There. And my cell phone turned off. I don't know if you can.
Moving to it?
I sound off too.
I'm just thinking about stressing
Okay. All right. So, are you going to do the introduction?
I guess so. I better know what I'm talking about, though.
Oops.
It'd be good. Dealing with the obstacle of remaining awake.
And then go to the next one. That's the next sheet.
Yeah, but I don't have to say anything. Anxiety, stress, anger,
Well, just dealing with the obstacle of remaining.
obstacles.
Obstacles.
Plural.
Obstacle.
Obstacles to
Obstacle.
staying awake.
You say that too many times and I'll mimic you, and then you'll point at me.
Okay.
Okay.
She's got a whole thermos. Look at that.
You know, we have to go up this little step ladder. It's easier to grab this in a glass.
Oh, look at mine. Look at mine.
It's holy.
What
It's
exists.
holy.
Wow. Ah, that's frightening. Ooh, that's amazing. It disappears.
Well, it's disappearing.
Oh, okay. You guys are no fun. You're all grown up.
Drink up. Have some more vodka.
Now you know the truth of my
Uh,
external powers.
all righty.
It's one of the great stress relievers.
Bear with me. I have hard contacts and
Oh dear.
something has just. Better to do it now, though, than during our. Arg.
So the other meditation that I sent you that works with the energy of the Heart Companion and the Eye Connect, we're going to record that. That'll be a homework item.
Okay. Fabulous.
Both of those are homework items. We haven't done the first one, recorded it, have we?
No, we haven't
Okay.
recorded it yet. We're going to do both.
Okay, gang, I'm sorry.
Are you all right?
Bear with me, I'm almost.
I remember I used to wear hard contacts.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I've worn them for,
Me done when my kids were born. That worked great.
I got my first pair in 1962.
Wow.
When Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
You too?
Me too. I was there. I was on the same ship. I was the galley slave.
You should have brought that up as part of your credentials.
So when we ask them to send us their feedback about their progress, testimonials, whatever, when they get their homework assignment, that link will be in there, I assume. Right?
Yes.
And then we're going to make
Up
up a
here.
questions.
Be in the homework.
How are we going to
We
answer the
pretend
question?
we received all this stuff.
Are we going to, well, I thought you said something about responding to questions. Are
Well,
we?
we're going to answer questions that have been sent in.
On seminar 4.
Oh, so are we going to record that after, or how are we going to do that? Are we going to fake it,
Well,
or?
we can anticipate the questions they're going to ask.
Okay.
Another thought I had in the last one about how to stay connected in this hectic world. I was going to offer the link to the attunements up for the Heart Companion and the Eye Connect that are up on our website that give them all different kinds of things that they can work with.
Yeah, I would do that at the end of this one,
No,
or at the beginning. Yeah, just add that, absolutely.
I think at the end of the last one.
yeah, I think
Okay,
you're right.
so do you want to say that now as an add-in and just say this is an add-in to,
Well, when we get to the introducing, or when we get towards the end, let's see. I think really towards the end of the last session, I can do that.
okay,
Now.
you should record it now, so they have that to splice in.
Or it's going to be a link that she's going to give.
Oh, you're
them
just gonna add a
to
link.
it That's
Okay.
going to take them to the activation.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can put that link up there.
Okay, that's great,
good.
good idea.
The meditation that is going to have the energies of the Trifinity 8, how are we going to do that?
Meditation.
Yeah, we were talking about energizing.
Oh,
That was the last one we were going to do, right?
When
Well, it's something we've offered them in between last session and this session.
yes,
So
it'll
Will
be
you-
a download from when all of this gets sliced and diced. My understanding is, I think that this whole thing will go into like Evermore or whatever, where it will, I think, already have the ways to put in links, to put in PowerPoint, like a slide or a picture of something, or put in downloads for giveaways in it. That's my understanding.
Right. Yeah, we can work on the video afterwards and cut.
okay,
down.
but you're going to present us something that we can lay behind it and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. You ready? Okay. Are we all ready for rock and roll?
Are we close enough?
I think it's as good as it's going to be.
Okay, and have you already pressed record, or it is recording?
Oh, yeah, it's
recording
been,
for
the
half
only
an
way
hour.
for you all to enter is to make the event live. So, yeah.
Okay, so we have we can talk. Okay, good. Hello, I'm Gregory Hogue, here with my wife, Gail.
Start over again. And you don't need to do that. I don't.
I can.
Why not?
Okay, I had my eyes closed when you started. I want you to start over.
I know. I'll even things out by closing my eyes.
Wait. Tell us seminar 3, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you're on.
Hi, I'm Gregory Hogue, here today with my wife, Gail, and our good friends, Tracy Latz and Marion Ross. And today we're going to be offering the third part of our webinar series, where we're going to be talking about dealing with the obstacles of staying awake. What are some of the stresses, the emotions, the things going on in our environment that make it difficult to maintain mindful awareness? So, Tracy, I know you had some things you wanted to share.
Essentially, it's a difficult time for a lot of my patients. How about yours, Marion, for waking up?
It's a difficult time for them to wake up. Most of them don't even know they're asleep. And the ones that are trying to wake up find all kinds of obstacles like, I can't take the time to meditate or do anything for myself because I don't even deserve it. I need that time for my kids. I need that time to cook, to shop, to do this, to do that. Everyone is multitasking so much they feel they don't deserve the time themselves to take 10, 15 minutes out of their day.
Well, does anyone really multitask?
That's a good question.
To multitask, you are doing mind chatter. You're trying to do your work at work. You're thinking about picking up your kids. You're thinking, I haven't done my how to awaken and stay awake homework, which I hope you've all done. And you're thinking about all of the places you have to go, grocery shopping, someone coming for dinner, when in fact, you've got so many things going on, there's no way for you to be fully present. And that seems to be creating stress for people. So stress seems to be probably the number one thing that keeps people from being able to stay in a heart-centered place, to remain awake, or even be aware of being awake to begin with, to have that aha moment.
Well, people think they need an aha moment. And they have to squeeze that aha moment in their list. And I think that's one of the essential problems. They don't understand that being in a state of mindfulness is trying as much as you can to always be in a state of mindfulness. And to deal with one thing at a time, one moment at a time.
I think this, yeah, I think this is particularly difficult with people in the younger generation. Our daughters, for instance, are so used to being aware of their cell phones or their iPads or whatever it is that can go off at any second with that little beep that says somebody's contacting you with a message. So you've now gotten out of anything that you might be doing, and you're now into another field. So I'd like to just talk for a minute about how do we deal with so many distractions that are part of our everyday life, and I think particularly with all of the with the internet and so much that we're aware of, so much is going on all the time at every single second, whether we're awake or asleep or whatever we're doing. How do we stay centered with this blast of information and, you know, this this sense of other people who might be wanting a part of our attention at any given moment at all? What do we do with that?
That's a great question, because many people think I am so connected because I have all these followers on Twitter and all these friends on Facebook. When we talk about being connected, we're talking about truly being present and connected instead of distracted. I know a lot of parents with children will say, turn off the phones, give yourself holidays, don't bring the phone to dinner, no texting, don't take it to bed, don't take it to any family gatherings. But even adults nowadays are just as bad as the kids. You go to any restaurant, you see everyone sitting there across from someone that they appear to be on a date or out to dinner with. And it used to be, hopefully, that people were more mindfully present before we had all of this texting capability and the apps to follow all those 5,000 friends that come up in your feed. So, you know, it really does cause a lot of resentment, certainly from people, and a lot of stress, even amongst kids, that they're supposed to somehow be available instantly to gratify the needs of their friends, to say, hey, what you do? Hey, because there's so much of that that's just really chatter. It's not very frequently deep, mindful chatter.
But they also plan things at the last minute. So if you're not responding to your text, you miss out.
Well, IDK.
I don't know what that means. But...
LOL. We shorten everything in such a way that we don't really even communicate.
Yeah.
So
You know,
back to mindfulness, the one thing we forget to do is to breathe. And that's probably the easiest way to start becoming mindful, is to notice the breath. And then notice everything you notice after the breath.
and also another aspect is to really bring it back into, why am I here? Why am I alive? Why am I engaged right now in making my kids breakfast, or getting the clothes ready, or getting this or that, or doing this or that? If we can step back, just then breath always helps us step back, where we breathe into our body and we feel our body in its present moment and go, how am I relating to this reality? What's my purpose? And if we really start seeing our purpose is to connect to higher self, our purpose is to bring that through and bring it into the food we're cooking, bring it into the flower we're looking at, bring it into the person we're conversing with, whether it's online or directly in front of us. I mean, that helps bring it into the immediate sense of being alive, presence, and really putting it in the context of how can I raise this situation to a place where I'm feeling that connection inside myself instead of pulling around or being pulled around by it, feeling anxious because we feel that we're out of control.
I think I want to talk about time for a minute, because we've got a pretty skewed concept of time, where time controls us rather than us being in control of time. So if I feel connected, truly connected, then there is no time. There's a sense of timelessness. And how that relates to this conversation with texting and, Snapchatting and all these different things that are going on. If I'm truly connected, then I know that whether a friend or a daughter messages me in what I think about as clock time or my time, it doesn't matter, because that message is there. And when I'm ready to enter into that relationship, then that's the right time. So the question that I'm asking myself then is, what's the right time? What's the right time to pick up that message? What's the right time to be in this intimate relationship with somebody that I'm sharing a meal with? What's the right time for me to be in relationship with myself and the feeling of being present? So when I decide that I'm on Gail time, universal time, meaning that I feel that connection all the time, and then when I stop and go, okay, now I'm going to check in and see what my daughter wanted to tell me, then I feel so much more centered, rather than feeling like I've got to wait for that little ding or beep off the phone that's getting my attention and telling me I've got to respond to this right away. So again, it gets back to the conversation that we had last time about responsibility, about our choosing what our responses really are about. I think that is a real core part of staying present.
Yeah, getting out of the reactive self, those beings of ours, the sad self, the depressed self, the angry self, that have to respond immediately without stopping thinking, and then responding from the present moment, from their heart center, from their best place.
When you take that time for yourself, like what you're talking about, a time of meditation, a time of going within and having that sacred space where you have worked on centering yourself and quieting the chatter and getting into your heart, when you choose then to connect with someone else, you're really much more present in that, like you say, and you're much more likely to be compassionate, not only for them, but also having compassion for your own self. And when we have that compassion for us, it means we're not in fear that we're going to hurt their feelings, that I have to, they're not going to love me anymore if I tell them no, even though I can't do what they're wanting me to do. but not being in fear of telling them no. And you're coming from a compassionate place where you can say, I hear what you're saying, and that you need $2,000 in your account right now, but I can't afford that right now, so
Right.
that wouldn't be good for me. So let's talk about how you may be able to earn this money or do this, and ways to help you reach your goals, and for us to sort out what your goals are so that you can have compassion not only for self, but for also the other person. And you don't bite the hook, so that when you get on that Facebook feed or Twitter feed and you see someone's pop something out there that you're like, ah, you know, oh yeah, that's so wrong, and you're ready to go in, you take that moment, you center yourself, and you don't fuel that negative, harsh energy that's out there.
So what do you think the biggest obstacle to doing that is,
Well,
besides distraction?
Yeah. The distractions, it's interesting. I'm going to say that there's a piece of trust that is part of this conversation. We have not really been schooled and developed in our upbringing to trust our intuition, our inner knowing. And a lot of the things that we're talking about here in being present is being able to refine our trust and dependence on our intuition. When we are centered and we are feeling that connection, then our intuition is one of the very important mechanisms that's intact. And our intuition, when we're trusting it, will really guide us in a beautiful way. So it will tell us, when do you really need to pick up that phone call or answer something more immediately? Or what is the best way to proceed with a decision, a situation? So engaging in this way enables us to, again, not depend on all of the external things that could drive us very, in a hard way, but instead to come back and go, what do I know that's really going to be the most beneficial? And that does take that time to take that breath, listen to that inner voice, be able to regard the quietness as that which is really the most commanding for us to stay in touch with. And when we put all of that together, we can then respond in a much more authentic and I think positive way.
Absolutely. My question to you, which we have this question all the time, is how can I trust my internal GPS when I don't know the difference between intuition and mind chatter? So what are we've discussed this before. Can you please sort of outline for people how they know the difference between intuition and chatter and how they can trust it?
A practical example is what I've been experiencing right now. In working with conversations, like there's 4 of us here, what could happen in my head is I could be planning my thoughts, what I want to say, what might be clever, what might be good, whatever. However, when Tracy was talking, like you brought up earlier, I don't have, and you, Marion, said, people often say they don't have time to meditate. That's a perfect time for me to follow my breath and to meditate in the sense where I am simply inside listening to what Tracy was sharing about compassion. And I was feeling that. And I was following my breath and breathing and being present and listening to what she was saying and feeling what she was saying. And then Gail was saying something, I was feeling what she was saying. And I wasn't thinking about what am I going to say next. And so to me, that leads into then the question you just asked. And what she said was trust. I knew that the universe is abundant and it will give me, my higher self will give me the words I need to share. I don't have to be planning them or figuring them out. And if I am inside, that I read as chatter. It's me trying to talk to me when somebody else is attempting to engage me. I need to be present with your engagement, with her engagement. And then when it's my time, as you just offered for me to speak, I know the words will be there that will be appropriate, and that I can feel from in me is more natural when I'm talking about something that's focused on me and what I need to do, or what didn't work, or what I'm concerned about what will work. That's what I consider chatter. And sometimes when I used to meditate, I remember I would just bring myself back, and sometimes my mind would come up with things that were so outrageous. I'd go, I caught you. That is total garbage. You're trying to distract me from meditating by building a ladder out of cooked spaghetti. And I know you can't build a ladder out of, sometimes the mind will go more and more outrageous. But it's the subtle things that take you off just being present with your breath at the moment. While you're with someone or doing a task, be with someone. Do the task. And when you're doing the task from that place, you're no longer doing it, you're being the task. And then beingness can work through you, and you watch a magnificence happen. You watch information, you watch stuff happen where you go, this is beyond what I know to do. You talked about doing, your centering during golf or something. We want to get into those spaces where we transcend. And that's how we know when we've touched into that point inside. And chatter keeps us from transcending, whether it's making a good bowl of soup, or it's hitting that ball correctly, or it's skiing down the mountain, or just, doing something with a friend where you both feel happy and present, and you're like a little kid where you don't care how it's going to turn out. When you're thinking in your head, I want to make this perfect, that's the chatter that keeps perfection from happening.
I think also, and back me up on this, Marion and Tracy, when we're responding to the mind chatter, our body is going to give us some signals. Our breath may be a little less even or a little racier, or our heart, palpitations, or heartbeat might feel a little different. We feel a little edginess, in our body. I know that when I'm connected, my breath is different. When I'm listening to my intuition, I feel a different kind of pacing than when I'm just listening to my mind chatter. If my body starts to note any kind of anxious signals, then it's information that's saying, wait a minute, you're not really there. Step back, take that breath. There's nothing like taking a breath that just brings us back into the center. Again, when we go out in nature, when we were talking about just taking off your shoes and socks and the grounding, feeling the soil beneath your feet, in between your toes, there's this beautiful feeling of connection. It's the big I that we're looking for rather than the little separated I. When we start feeling the big I, that connection, our bodies are giving us signals. There are times we will show people through muscle testing how they respond to our heart companions and eye connects. And when they are disconnected, or there's something that brings some kind of feeling of fear or sadness, or something that really separates them from their connection, their body gets weak. There is an inherent weakness when we're going into those other places. And the opposite of that is when you're connected, there is an inherent strength. And muscle testing will show us that people show strength when they're connected. So, these are physiological cues that we get that if we pay attention to them, they really do help give us the signals of what really is so.
When we're in the place of compassion in our heart, like what we've been working on the last 3 or previous 2 sessions here, you do reach that place of inner strength, not only for yourself, but that strength of being connected directly, like a telephone operator used to be. Younger folks may not recall how the telephone operator used to take the cord and plug it right in there.
Right.
When you get into that space, you plug that connection directly into source, to your own soul, and suddenly you do have that knowing. You know what the right thing to do is. You know what to say in that moment to that dear friend who suddenly is in trouble or in stress. And that's how many people will have those brief ahas where they'll plug in because their child or their loved one suddenly is in great distress, and they'll go, their heart will literally go out to them. And when that happens, if they're there present, they look into eyes. Eyes truly are the window of the soul, which is part of the difficulty with texting. You don't see that. But with that sudden heartfelt connection, you have access, and suddenly you hear yourself telling them such wise things that later they go, how did you know just what to say in the right moment and tell me that? It was so wise. And then you're thinking, how did I do that? And why can't I do that for me on demand? And, using the tools we've talked about, the Metform and Metaform tools and the meditation tools and techniques help you get into the space to do it on demand so that you can be plugged in like that telephone operator around the clock. Because when you are in that spiritual space, you're right, there is no time, there is no space. You may not have talked to that dear loved one for 5 years, but in that moment, none of that. It's like you have never been away from each other.
I always feel that if you have to second guess yourself about your intuition, it's not your intuition. That's a very brief answer, but I think that's basically the case.
Tracy brought up a really important thing there that I think, and we've talked around this a lot, we haven't said it directly, but allowing is one of the strongest, most powerful things we can do, which means we literally make space for spirit to work through us. Sometimes another can bring that out, and then, as you said, we go, well, why can't I do that for me? And we just have to give spirit the space, the allowing to show up, the allowing for us to recognize it. So often that person is there to support us, the thing is there to help us, but we don't recognize the help. We don't recognize the person for who they are. And, so often in spiritual texts and in the Bible, you get led to the understanding that there I am, always in front of you, in the weakest, in the strongest, all. I am there, and we just have to allow spirit to come into our lives. And so often we're so busy, again, taking the breath and going, how do I see spirit in this circumstance in front of me right now? How do I see the message that God, that universe wants to give to me to help me on my journey? And when we allow that to blossom in our lives, then we can take the next step. And it's really magical when we do.
It is, but very often people have the obstacle of unworthiness. They don't feel worthy of receiving anything. They think everyone else has more a sense of worth than they do, and it should go to them. How can I ask for help? I don't deserve help. I feel so guilty about what I did when I was 3, when I was 5, what happened yesterday. They have a really deep sense of unworthiness. And you see this quite often too.
And when we've taught some of our different meditation classes and the Shift Your Life seminars, the most frequent thing I see is where people go, you mean at this point I'm getting ready to go into a meditation and I will meet my true essence and I can ask any question I want and they're going to answer me? And they'll go, yeah. And they'll go, oh, I'm afraid, what are they going to say to me? It's like they're afraid it's going to be suddenly Godzilla is coming into the room and telling them something terrifying. And I just look at them with compassion and I say, oh, your true essence loves you unconditionally and wants nothing more than to be able to connect with you and to have that communion back and forth with you on a daily basis. They're not going to show you anything to scare the fool out of you. They want you to know how loved you are and how, there is so much open for you and opportunity and so much richness for you in your life. It is that aspect of allowing them to come in to communicate.
But people are so judgmental of themselves. They may be judgmental of others, but they're even more judgmental of themselves. We had a woman in our class who had stage 4 thyroid cancer, remember? And we asked people to go into a meditation and ask for whatever they needed. And then we were reviewing what people had asked for. You finished the story, I can't even remember.
The amazing thing was it was a 17-hour seminar, and we'd been together, this whole group, for 2 days. And we got to the point where people had gone through the exercises and meditations for letting go of guilt and shame and anger and unworthiness and abandonment and healing heartache. And they had gone to their temple of wisdom and received answers of what their soul, what their higher self, true essence, wanted them to know right now and to give them a gift. And she did fine with that. But when it got to the point of going to the creative laboratory and now understanding they could create anything without limit, what would they wish or choose to create right now? And this person decided they were going to go and create a beautiful garden in their yard, and they were going to create these different things. Other people had talked about what they were going to do, and some had some GI issues, and they said, I'm gonna create perfect health. Well, she went through and talked about everything she was going to create. And at the end of it, I just kind of sat there and you could see other people were going, just sort of gasping. And I said, anyone want to share something with her? And they said, why are you not creating perfect health? And she said, well, because I feel like God would heal me if God felt I was worthy or supposed to be healed.
And this is something we hear all the time, that people feel so disempowered because of, religious beliefs, just beliefs in their lives, what they've learned from their parents, their communities. It's profound.
It truly is.
It's a huge obstacle.
It really is. And, I keep seeing what keeps coming into my consciousness right now is the picture of a newborn baby. And, if you've ever seen a newborn baby, when the eyes first open up and they look around and they see their parents and they see life around them, there is this amazing spirit that is coming into life that's going, oh, wow, you know, and feeling so much love and so much connection, still being connected to all of their higher levels. And to bring that back, you know, to bring that back into ourselves as we age is part of what this is about. That's who we are. We are these amazing, incredible souls, spirits who have come into this body, and we are here to reclaim who we are. And remembering that first second of consciousness of that baby and seeing the absolute sublime, unconditional, extraordinary love and enthusiasm, you know, and enthusiasm being infused with spirit, because that's what that word really means. Seeing that and knowing that is who we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the journey is to get back to where we were when we were born. Sounds funny, doesn't it?
Yeah, and yet I don't think any of us at this stage in our life would want to go through what we went through at the beginning stages. You know, the joy of being as a little child, but also the discovery of the greatness of who we are can grow through this process. And that's where people are right now in this little seminar that we're doing, is hopefully awakening to that power that they are and what we're speaking about. You know, we're all sparks of this same love. Nobody is getting there any faster than anyone else. That's why it's such an important thing for each of us to want to help other people, because we go, this is my opportunity to help them see the joy that they are, the love that they are, the beauty that they are. And why people outside of this woman said, I care for you. You're beautiful to me. Please see how beautiful you are and realize that you can shift your life. I want you to shift your life for my sake, because each one of us that jumps onto this magnificent train that is building steam, and that is, you know, going back into that metaphor, whatever, that we are starting to take off in a new direction in humanity, a direction that's one of consciousness and love. And we do it with each other. And so we need to keep reminding each other of how much we see that love and appreciate each other all the time.
The more each of us chooses to transform, it has an impact on people around us, but it multiplies geometrically and profoundly affects the whole consciousness of the planet. You know, the country first, the planet next. And you can see the shifts that we get in consciousness as it does show up in our TV, our movies, our interactions, the news, you know, all sorts of things. And if we can all, with intention, work on our own self, that whole old saying that everyone thinks, yeah, right, you know, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Well, it truly can be as simple as that. If all of us worked on getting our own self at peace here and plugging in, allowing our own spirit, which has that connection directly to source, to express through us, we become more vibrant. Our emotions become more compassionate and higher vibration, and everything we touch begins to have a higher vibration. Everyone around us and everything we do in the community, like you all had said earlier, your life becomes a meditation, but not a meditation where I'm escaped and I'm in this high flying meditation and I'm not here. It is I am a force here for good, and for light, and really our life becomes a joyful, fun meditation and playful.
If you can help others understand that the only person you can truly change is yourself, but you're leading by example, and your energy is getting out there and affecting the collective consciousness. And the other thing we can help teach people is that life is about cooperation. Nature is about cooperation. It's not about competition. It's not about survival of the fittest. There's enough resources for everyone if we share and if we're conscious. And when we do it and we lead by example and we help other people understand that, that grows exponentially as well.
It's really amazing how our intention puts out so many of those seeds. I was just recently reading about how the Netherlands has created these technologies to grow food, which is so amazing, and in these greenhouses, because they don't have the weather to be growing like California does or whatever, but they had an intention that not only would they be able to grow enough food for everyone in their country, they would be able to grow enough food for millions and millions of other people outside of their country. And as a result, the technology that they developed is astronomically able to do that. So getting back into what is that level of connection and intention that we are creating from? Are we creating from scarcity? Are we creating from abundance? And as we're mindful and aware, we have the ability to keep changing the field, keep changing it, and then the seeds that are planted grow into a whole nother stream of great abundance.
Scarcity is really coming out of fear. And when you look at abundance, abundance means not I get everything. It means I allow myself to receive, and yet I also give. It's a flowing, it's not a stagnant one-way street. And that is a place of that compassion, that allowance, that not judging and allowing things to flow. So when we talk about obstacles, all these different obstacles, guilt, shame, anger, resentment, lack of love, lack of self-love, all of those come from and get fueled from a perception of fear-based thinking, that my heart's so broken, it can never be healed. And, I've done a lot of work with people with PTSD in my practice over the years, since the early 90s. And with that, you see a lot of people, especially from childhood traumas, who will say, my heart is so broken, it can never be healed. So I am essentially broken and I will never be whole. And, when I work with these people, I say, when you begin to allow yourself to connect here and open up the space, you will begin to understand the beauty that you are and how you are loved and lovable at every moment. And you've never, in fact, been broken. You've perceived yourself as broken, and you're not judged by anything or defined by anything that someone has done to you, or that even that you've done to others. We are on a journey here in our lives and in this beautiful human earth school for our souls to understand and evolve, so that we can understand through our experiences more of who we are versus who we aren't. And when we're stepping on a path where we're really carrying our thoughts to a place that's making us perceive we're not truly what we truly are, we don't feel good. We feel bad emotionally, we feel bad physically, and the more we begin to get back in touch with who we actually are, more out of those fear-based perceptions and thoughts, and get compassionately centered so that we do commune more, receive more, allow more from that unseen world to interact here, because we are here to bring heaven on earth, if you will, however you understand that unseen world, and bring it through this physical matter, this organic matter that really is earth. I'm animating earth here. And when we allow that to happen, then suddenly, again, we become more vibrant, and we're creating out of compassion or love. And we really understand more than who we are. That's why we feel better. We get more playful. Our interactions are better, and all of a sudden, everything's abundant. You know, we all have those brief moments, you know, or those days where like, I'm in the flow. You know, wow, everything's gone great.
Feels
It's
great.
amazing. You know, but you can be mindful of keeping yourself entrained, if you will, so that we each become a vibrational field that is at its core connecting with unity. And then that helps someone else. It's like two guitars next to each other. You strum on one, the other one will start vibrating.
Stay in train with you. Absolutely. When you're operating from high beta, when your brain waves are going so quickly, and you're with someone who's in alpha, what's going to happen? How's your communication going to go? Someone's here and someone's here. It's not going to go too well. And I think a lot of people don't understand that when their brain is in high beta and just chugging along, and when it is, you have to be in a selfish state because you're in fight or flight. So all you know to do is to protect yourself and to take care of you and not anyone else.
And you go to scarcity.
And you go to scarcity, and you don't know how to listen. You can't be an active listener, and you can't really be an active participant because you're waiting for the proverbial saber-toothed tiger to bite you somewhere.
You know, so often people talk about these tools and they ask for something that will protect them. And we bring it around and context that, just as you've been talking about. It's not about you being weak and needing protection. I mean, when you think about, here we are, spiritual beings coming into this physical dimension, and we don't need to protect ourselves from it. We simply need to move our vibration to a higher level, where when we're at that higher level, then the things don't bother us, don't come into our field where they can really hurt us.
This is Gail and the host family. We're unable to take your call, so please leave us a
I
message
thought
and we'll get
I
back to
turned that
you
off.
when we can. You can also try my cell
Can you
phone.
hold on for a minute?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
it'll
Come out.
just edit it.
Just let it be. It'll.
And then wait 5 seconds so we can edit it, and then go back. Move it over.
You want to start talking about brainwave, some of the things that.
Why don't I just finish that statement? We can slice it in.
Okay.
Whatever I was saying.
Okay.
So we really understand that we're here to be, divine spirits, and we move into that place of strength where then the other issues, as far as bacteria, lower vibrations, however you want to view all the things in our lives that want to bring us problems, they don't have the same ability when we're operating at that higher frequency. So it's not to protect ourselves, build a wall from this reality, but simply to elevate our vibration, expand into that higher part, that when we are operating from there, then this world doesn't have the same effect, doesn't have the ability to draw us down the way it used to. And that's a matter of choice and recognition that we're all speaking to here today.
That bacteria is constantly there. Everyone, like what you're referring to about the bacteria, it is always there. I mean, it's in, when they do swabs, it is everywhere, constantly.
It's
So-
like being in an airplane. I mean, the airplane has the same germs for everyone, and some people get sick and some people don't.
I see a lot of people who say, oh, I've become all enlightened. I'm going to go now to this very dysfunctional family picnic, or all my old friends who were all negative, and because I'm at such a high vibration now, I'm going to go and they're all going to rise up to my vibration. I'll go, ooh.
Relax.
Beware.
Sometimes.
Like those vibrating guitars, you think you're going to come in and be the one guitar in the room. Bing, everyone's going to vibrate to me. But if they're all vibrating at a much lower frequency, you could go in there and bing and start getting pulled down based on just being aware of how you need to make choices about who you do hang out with and what you do. So,
And the words you use and the thoughts you think. You have choices about everything. And do you want to hang out with people that are nasty and lower vibration and negative? What does it do to you? You have to think about it. And if
But
you
more and
believe
more,
it, you can
yeah.
think about it.
as we connect to what's real inside and we let that be our tuning fork, we let that be our source, we let inside be the higher aspect of our being. And then I am so comfortable with that connection with spirit that that's what defines my reality more and more and more. And that's freedom for me.
And that's a lot of practice. I mean, there's a lot that's behind that. You know, it's not being a newbie in that and going, okay, let me at them. It's really settling into it more and more and more, where it, you know, it's really solid within you. So, you know, I would just say, you have plenty of time. You have plenty of time to really work through this. And something very interesting that this conversation is reminding me of is that recently we started to work with some scientists who were doing some brainwave studies with the Heart Companion. And we wanted to see, because, you know, we get all these statements from people about how it affects their lives. And we wanted to be able to see, is there actually something physiological that's happening in the brain? One of the things that's coming to mind right now as we've been talking is, you know, our brains are storing all kinds of information and pathways and whatever. And, you know, we become very habitual. And so our, you know, those synapses want to go into certain patterns that they're used to going into. And these studies were showing us that with the Heart Companion, that it seems like we were actually bypassing some of those patterns that would have been expected. And I think that's really interesting, because if we can, with tools and with data, be able to bypass those glitches, those detours, and get more into those connections that will be supportive for us, then that's a remarkable and wonderful thing that we can do. And I believe that that really is the way that our brain can work. So we don't have to go into that old mind chatter when we're connecting in more with that centeredness, that heart centeredness, then the brain is actually firing off in different modes.
They were showing us where, I mean, these were very complicated tests where they had me wired up with all these different electrodes for quite a few, I don't know, a couple hours. Anyway, one of the interesting things is one of the women said, I saw this brainwave shift happen once before, and it was with a man that came to a whole group of people that were working with brainwave equipment. And what he did was move his mind into a state of consciousness where he was a sword swallower, but he not only swallowed the swords, he poked them out the side of his neck during the swallowing, and there was no blood, no injury. and it healed up afterwards, and everyone wanted to measure what was going on with his brain. And she saw the same patterns
Wow.
go on when I was wearing the heart companion, and the energy moved into a certain space in the prefrontal lobes, and definitely moved away from the amygdala, the energy there. It moved into a whole different state of consciousness where we saw, just by putting this tool on, brainwaves started to shift. And we've done a lot of other tests where we've worked with equipment, where we've measured what goes on inside the body, and found that when people were out of balance, like I'll put something up on the screen right now where people can see the before, where the person has an underactive liver and their spleen is underactive, almost shut down, and that after holding an eye connect for just 5 minutes, everything comes into the normal zone. Or when we go to a place where you can see the energy field around the body has breaks or holes in it, that 5 minutes of holding on to an eye connect or putting on a heart companion, everything comes into a space where the energy field is strong. The holes get filled, and there's even more energy coming in some of the places where there were holes before.
We've
And
done
so,
studies too with the GDV machine, the gas discharge.
right, GDV by Dr. Korokoff. So we're able to show that there are physiological differences that go on with these tools that also show how the body shifts its energy, how health is a function of the way energy flows in the body. And our good feeling isn't just a make-believe good feeling, but it's really the body coming into balance. It's the chakras coming into balance in the center and not being out of balance. And so that's something that we can start to have happen in our body. And we've done things with equipment from the Heart Math Center, where we've used their equipment to measure and seeing that the energy coming out from the heart gets amplified, the body comes into a balance where the emotions no longer have a negative effect because the body stays centered and feels that love that is the birthright of every single human being, to express that love in this incarnation. And that's what we're all working on right now. The time is right. Some of the tools we have to draw upon. It's our opportunity to make a difference on this planet and to use whatever we can to support us in that process and determine for ourselves. That's why we always offer 100% guarantee that if it doesn't change your life, send it back, because you need to prove to yourself what is going to work for you and discern who to work with, what to do. You know, you're at choice. This is a free will planet.
You hand me a sword, will you? I want to try this.
We don't recommend it.
It's fascinating. Before I had met either one of you, Gail or Greg, and
I called.
Marion called me and she said, "Oh, there's this couple and they make these geometric forms and devices." And I was very busy. I was like, "What?"
It
She
changed
said-
my art.
And she said, "You know, we're going to have a conference call with them in 45 minutes, and we have to let them know if we want to kind of work together some in the future." And I was like, "What? I said, 45 minutes. She said, "Yeah." She said, "Didn't you get that device I sent you?" I said, "I got something in a box. I really haven't messed with it." And she said, "Well, we're going to talk to them in 45 minutes, but I need you to tell me right now before we get on there if you want us to work together or not. And I was like, wait. I said, well, then I'm getting off the phone. And she said, I said, I'm getting off the phone so I can go hold this device and meditate with it. And I'm going to do some intuitive art. We call it Intura art. And just sort of see what the energy of that and connecting with that device and what comes through when you're in your heart and you're holding it. And so I went, felt that energy, and just with eyes closed, grabbed chalks and began to work. Just the energy flowing out on the table. In about 2 minutes, I put down the chalks, went, washed my hands, went, got a cup of coffee. I love my coffee. And then walked back in and looked at this and just went, because, and we'll put a picture of that in here, what I clearly saw was a man, a person holding this device in their hand at the very bottom, kind of center. But what was huge up ahead above this person was this huge man's head, sort of a consciousness. It was like the global man with this energy coming straight through, of this light coming through his body or his head, meaning it was going to, whatever this was, work with consciousness. And you saw this golden heart down kind of below, and off to the right, you saw what looked like to me a Kuan Yin-like figure pouring her bottle, which is filled with compassion, down onto the world. And this interesting, not from this dimension being up here, sort of over it, working with this device, but very high energy, boom, very serious, but this being of light. And I saw that, and I called Marion back. I said, oh yeah, we're going to work with these people, and we're going to talk to them.
I had already been using it. I had a certain style of Intura art, which is channeling art in 2 or 3 minutes, before the Eye Connect, or before the Heart Companion, before I even knew about it. Once I got a hold of one, I started holding it in one hand, drawing in the other, and my artwork changed so dramatically, and my ability to channel was so pure after that, that I called you.
Wow.
And then I told Tracy, we're going to work with these people. Oh, wait. But it was amazing. It was amazing. We were at a conference, a water conference, and we asked someone to hold an Eye Connect. And the guy happens to be a Nobel Prize winner in medicine. And he held it and he said, I'm not giving it back. It feels so amazing. I feel so much stronger because you're a bit elderly. And he said, I'm just not giving this back. I've never felt like this. So our experiences have been extraordinary.
That's why we do it. And it's all guided. It's, it's just spirit wanting to express more spirit on this planet. And there are so many souls that are stepping up to receiving that and making a difference in their lives. And so here we are, all of us working together. And, everybody listening today, it's so important to realize that you're not alone, that you are connecting with more and more beings. Even if you feel like you live in the middle of this desert of people that are not interested in spirit the way you are, when you really start opening up, they will find you. We find each other, and we recognize each other. We recognize through our heart space that we are here to support each other and love each other, and none of us will allow anyone to be left behind, because we're a family, and this family is recognizing the unity that truly exists and can exist for all of us.
I think that answers another major obstacle that people have. When I become more spiritual, I'll have no one to talk to. My husband, my wife will leave me. I won't have any friends. They're going to think I'm weird. And what you've said answers that. if you allow and you open up, you'll find a sense of community everywhere.
But once you do open up and you use these devices, it's important that you begin to listen to, take the time to meditate and go within and listen to that inner still small voice that now you are plugged into, so that you feel not only I feel good, but you know that you are on your path of your purpose, and you feel that at a deeper way and a deeper knowing. So, it's important that you pair it with doing your work and taking the time.
Doing is so important because action is how spirit shows itself in our lives. If we lie in bed and just say, okay, I'm going to wait until spirit moves me, or I'm going to wait until the right time, it's like, no, it's in every moment. And I think we all realize that mistakes are the greatest learning. So there's nothing to fear. Just get out there and be doing things, be interacting, and be watching and be aware, and know that you're loved, and know that there's nothing to worry about. You'll be taken care of. Even if it doesn't look like it in the moment, when you step back and take some breaths, you find out, oh, this was just another learning. I'm okay. But it's in the doing that we get ourselves, supported, because if you don't step off the cliff, then spirit can't come to catch you. And so practice that.
And contribute. It's about making your contribution, and the more you do it, the more impact, the more far-reaching, the more quality will come through. And it's just be willing to make mistakes. Be willing to be gawky. It's okay. It really is. And you have people like Tracy and Marion, who are so amazing in being here to guide people. As the work that you two women have done over the years is amazing, and with so much heart and grace and intelligence, and your professional expertise is absolutely extraordinary and very, very important. There's so much help for all of us out there to work together. We all really depend on each other, as one whole community. That's how things really work in the best way.
And we're so grateful to you all for having the courage, back in the time when you began to say, we're going to put this stuff out there. It's going to seem out there to people, and we're going to put it out into the world, because, you all started doing this at a time where it was kind of like, yeah, they're kind of out there, I guess. But at a time where the world was in the beginnings of really needing it, and now it's sort of like Spirit SOS, please, come assist us with really getting everyone to understand more. We've got billions of people on the planet now, and we've got billions of people struggling to understand, the whys of things. Why am I? Why is this? And when I have people come and they say, I want to go in and I want to ask why, I say, be aware of when you ask why, that's a victim question to start out with. Ask, what's the lesson or what's the gift for me in this experience? And these tools will help people be out of that fear-based place to be able to maybe be more open to hear that inner still small voice and take a stance that's not a why stance, but what can I learn and how can I understand how to step more into the energy of what I actually am here for.
Well, I would say within 2 minutes, it aligns you. It aligns your wisdom and your higher source with your love and compassion and your vitality. So you're ready to go.
I've worked with some suicidal patients, very, very depressed, in my office who I have an integrated practice. And so they understand I'm a little interesting, which is why some folks come to me anyway, because
out there.
they want to understand meditation and other tools. And I've had one person who had worked with a lot of the classes that we teach and who would get profound benefit from it, but then she would go home in a place where everyone was saying you're nuts, you know, for this sort of a path. And she would begin to doubt herself. So she would have a hard time holding on to these shifts that she would start to be in because of the family that she was around. And she didn't feel strong enough to say, I'm going to sever that. So she came into my office one day, again, very down, and I just took off my heart companion and said, put this on. And within moments, she said, you know, I'm less anxious and I feel uplifted. And suddenly I can hear, just even sitting here, my inner still small voice. And for those people who are going to go, what, was she psychotic? No, never. She truly could hear her own inner voice speaking to her better. And so essentially right away she wanted to know, and she did in fact get herself a heart companion, which has helped her through her yips, but her sinking has not been as precipitous. It's been a little bit like this and then back on path and then a little bit. And over time you'll find people who get on the path to really begin to open and allow spirit into their life. If this is a new thing for them, it is hard to hold that steadiness early on. And the more practice you have of trusting your inner knowing and having those experiences where you have your inner still small voice tell you something, and then it comes to fruition, even though you're a little afraid, you know, can I trust this? But you decide I'm going to, and then you see, wow, that was right. After you have a series of those experiences, you begin to be more firm in your foundation of this is a knowing. And since this is a knowing, nothing's going to shake me off of that. And I will stay here on my path and stand in the light of who I am and walk in the world. And then they become a bright light for other people and leave a trail of light for others to follow. And that's the beauty of combining these tools and techniques together.
Absolutely.
And it's important to find people like yourself or other friends that can reflect that light, because often, especially men for some reason, don't see the changes as easily as I've seen wives say, oh, you're doing this and this different. I really like that. You aren't getting as upset as quickly. And so it's always such an important thing. I know Gail and I, she keeps me on track so much, where I need that support and where we have each other and you two working together. So again, to find people that can support you in your process and to reach out, and even to reach out to us, because I often get questions emailed to me, and I try to help people whenever I can, just to realize how powerful they are, how much they are really in control of their lives, how they don't have to worry as much as they sometimes thought they did. It's like we don't have to give in to those old thought patterns. It's really an opportunity right now, each moment. The moment starts right now. That's the joy of working with the present, because if you really recognize that that's a reality, then you can take a deep breath and go, okay, I start right now.
Right.
And maybe you start right now again and again and again, but you keep starting.
Press the reset button.
So that's thank you for saying that you're going to answer questions. Maybe for our 4th seminar, we should be answering people's inquiries if they have questions. I mean, how have they been doing throughout this course? What are their challenges? What are their problems? Let us know so we can collectively answer them.
Also, your homework is going to be listing some of your fears on a sheet of paper. And you may go, wow, we've just talked about being in our heart. Why would we do that? Well, because if you list your fears, then you know what your biggest Godzillas are in your life, so that you can look at that and break it down and realize it's just a beautiful little multicolored salamander. That is so cute.
And they can be very cute.
We're going to give you also a meditation to help you let go of anger, and a Qigong emotional release video.
Which is the precursor to EFT, if you've heard of the energy. Well, I'm sure most people have heard of EFT here, but it's a tapping sequence which predates EFT. It's about 2,000 years old. It's from the Shaolin Temple. It's very easy to do. We give you instructions. And if you have any kind of anxiety, depression, any kind of issue at all, any phobias, you'll be ranking them, tapping them away, and in 3 to 5 minutes, your issues will be reduced to not even remembering you've had them.
The beautiful salamander.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
The dragon becomes a salamander. That's what we're going to call it.
And then we have one more gift as well. We've created an audio that is infused with the energies of the iConnect and Heart Companion. And it's a little meditation attunement that you can play, and it will just kind of lead you through a guided process. And if you have the Heart Companion or iConnect, work with it. If you don't, just go on to our website, take a look at what it looks like so you can visualize it. And we're sending the energy waves of that. And so just follow along with that so that you'll get a sense of what those energies really are for you and how they can really make a difference.
You know, the beautiful thing is you can use these tools, all the things that we're offering for each one of these workshops, segments, and do it again and again and again, and they will be available to you. I think we're going to allow it just,
They're yours.
they're yours,
They're yours.
to use anytime you feel a need for support, a need for diminishing some of the concerns in your life. Draw upon these tools, work with them. They're designed to really specifically support you in your process. So,
Okay, so as we're just moving along on this little telesummit that we're doing, we're looking forward to seeing you for our last segment, and use these homework assignments, these tools, these gifts, and let us know. Let us know. We want to hear from you, what it's doing for you, how you see changes happening in your life. Just notice that, send us an email, and it will help us understand more, and it'll also give you clarification on just what's happening in your life, what the difference is from where you started, where you are now, where you're going. So
they can email us at info@shiftyourlife.com. What's your email that you use?
you can email us at office@iconnecttoall.com, and we will have a link that will be right up there. You can take a look at it, and we'll send it out with the PDFs as well.
Right. Well, we'll see you all next time. Thanks for attending.
Thank you.
thank you.
Blessings.
Blessing.
Okay, I'm wondering whether we should close the blinds. I'm starting to see me wash out on that side. Should we try?
We should change shirts or something for the next
Yeah,
segment.
because we're supposed to be answering questions.
And then we'll make a list of questions
And if
together.
we're all wearing the same thing, they're going to be like, they didn't get any questions.
Okay, the first two we did have the same shirts on, but
It doesn't
Okay.
matter.
Here's another question, and that is, so tomorrow, Marion's going off to Europe. correct? Is that?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if we could do a segment where we're actually answering some real questions that we get, as well as doing this next section. You know, I just think we might be able to pull it off.
We could just do the last one.
You know what we could do? We could do this segment with some questions that we know people tend to ask, and then we could do an add-on when and if we get questions from once this is running. How's that sound?
I would definitely do an add-on.
That way we could compile and sort of go, we got this question. What are y'all getting any? What's kind of going on?
What's the next seminar you want us to have for you?
And so I feel good about that, about having a fifth component add-on. But I mean, we'll do the fourth and then be set to start to get it out there. But we'll do a fifth component add-on and work that in from wherever we are. And I'm not sure even when we intended to start to run this. Do you have an idea?
Well, it depends on when Lee has time to put it together. We need to do some pre-marketing for it.
I think Lee had talked about a date of October 16th or something at one point. He wanted kind of some thoughts about that. But I'm fine with it releasing.
And and something after the end of each section, we're going to have something where people can connect with us, connect with you. And so have we determined value to put on this seminar yet?
You know what? Let's talk about that later. I think,
okay.
Because I'm concerned we're going to start getting bright light, which is going to wash us out. So we should change our clothes, our tops, and get out of this.
Well, here's part of the feather. It's down in my pocket somewhere. Look.
Oh dear.
So we need to make up some questions. Do you have the fourth? Okay. How did it get stuck in here?
Where do you feel you've come in your awakening journey? What progress do you feel you've made? We've talked a little bit about this already, the importance of finding your tribe, that daily Dharma practice. And then what do we want to have in terms of certainly our leadership?
Awakening awareness. Our books.
Still struggling with transforming some of your thoughts.
Yeah, opt-in on
We
our
have a more
website.
intensive class solely focusing on that.
Mhm.
Awakening awareness.
So what are the questions? I think we can just do the questions. What questions do you have? What are the biggest questions? You always feel guilty.
That I think we can discuss
I know.
more intensive classes.
All right, let's.
You
Nope, not gonna work.
You can make up nice top there.
Ooh, I like that top.
Now I can't work. See, it's getting
You look
weird.
blue
It's,
and green.
it's
No,
trying
no,
to
no,
it's
you
trying
can't.
to disappear into your
It's
green.
disappearing.
Yep, I got it.
It's a beautiful color.
Okay, I'm gonna put on a black top instead.
That's right. You and me both.
Go to asphalt.
Work.
The black top. What are you doing? Your crystal.
I'm gonna tighten this up. Yeah.
This is too hangy for me too. Should I go back to my black?
Yeah. Well, no, then you're both wearing black.
Huh? What, Tracy? Oh, okay.
Okay, let's see here. Okay. Let's see. I know black will be fine.
So let's make up some questions.
Okay. See, okay, part of the issue is we've got too much light coming in now. Let's change this. Oh, he also turned off these lights. That's part of it.
Yeah, two.
One. Can't remember if that one was on.
Yeah.
There we go.
The whole wardrobe. So one of the big problems people are going to have is I have problems meditating. What can I do? We can answer that easily. Someone else is going to say, I feel like I'm making progress, but I'm still angry at work and continue to stress about things I can't control.
Uh-huh. Okay. So you're going to just read these questions?
Well, read them and we'll answer. And
We'll
Mark,
answer
you
them.
read a bunch. That would be much. We can just sort of see where our answers go.
How can I have my spouse get on board with this program? She isn't listening to me. These are going to be questions people have.
Okay. All right. So are you going
talked-
to introduce this? Who's going to introduce the wrap up?
You can. You haven't
Want me
introduced.
to?
You want to? Go for it.
So what else? We need 10 more questions. What other questions do you want?
Well, we don't have to have 10. We can just sort of. Oh, you okay?
Well, what are we going to, it's going to be a very short
Okay. What kind
session.
of things do people ask you all?
No, it's too bright on me, Greg.
Okay.
Gail, what kind of questions do you get all the time? Oh, I have a question you can write down. Can I let someone touch my heart companion or use it without it being?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be one. And does the energy of the heart companion wear off, or
Okay. Does
is
it
it like
Does
energized in a way?
it lose its?
cleanse or whatever, or re-energize?
And when-
Are we going to write that down so we can read it, so to speak?
And when the energies of the planet and cosmos are changing, what do you do with,
Where did you
does the heart companion change too?
is it fitting now
It was
already?
sitting here. Did you take yours off?
It must be right there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. Would you say that?
No, I forgot to turn that on.
Do I need to upgrade my iConnect or heart companion as the energies change?
I know, you and me both.
I'm still seeing like some,
Green when you stand up, you're like army green.
yeah, which is strange because this is really
What?
black.
It becomes black when you
Try
stand.
this one too. Well, as the day goes on, light changes around here.
Yeah.
We had a lot of cooperation in the gray sky. What do you think? Is that good enough?
I have books in my armpit.
Back a little bit. Let
Okay.
me see how that lighting looks when you're back in the picture. I think that's okay, isn't it? I don't look like I'm disappearing, do I?
Not at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
Okay.
Very much
If you
present.
start disappearing, I'm gonna say, look, they've raised their energy so much.
We'll complete this by ourselves. Okay. Um, okay.
I'm 20 feet above sea level. I really need to drink. How about you? What's
Got
800?
Hot these days.
You that high? I didn't know
I
that.
knew that from having to fly on it.
Oh. So are you making up questions?
Yeah, he is. He's good at that.
So cute.
So what are we going to talk about?
Well, we have down,
Not much.
you know,
How to stay connected.
Well,
that's where you are.
I think one of the things that we want to deal with is whatever, people had a particular reason for coming onto this. We want to see that they've gotten what they wanted from it. So,
Their needs being met.
yeah.
Let us know for the 5th segment. Well, we can do a live 5th segment.
I need more solid colored tops. I found I don't have that many.
Still seeing, I think we're just, it's that time of day, getting harder to work with this setup.
It's 5 o'clock here.
It's not that bad.
Okay.
The tape just released. It released the tape.
Hello, Greg.
Marion, how long are you in Europe for?
Probably a month at least, because we're doing this thing in England on the 3rd month. So I don't
You
know.
and Tracy?
Going back, and going back again.
I'll fly over sometime during that first week of November. We're doing the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival in
Birmingham.
Birmingham.
18,000 people.
Okay.
And
So we definitely want this up before that so we can market it.
All right. All right. I don't. Oh, okay. Good. I wasn't seeing my mic move, but I had it on standby.
Hold on, I had it on. Let me turn
Put
mine
yours on.
I'm on.
Talk.
Okay. Am I on?
Yep.
Can you see me?
Yep.
Okay. Does this seem like it's...
No. you know, you got to have it. Actually, if it's
Keep it away from my pendant, my
well,
chain. It's better that it's up higher, I think. And
So hard to sit up straight.
okay, how about that? I think that's good.
okay.
You need to have it. Yeah, the better, the closer it is to the center.
Well, I just don't want this to. Are you sure this isn't gonna?
It's
I
this.
can't see. Can you get me on the screen?
How does mine look? Okay.
It's beautiful.
Marvelous. You look marvelous.
Simply marvelous.
All right, I just don't want this to rub up against. See, this is going to rub on this.
It's
You don't think so?
okay. Move. Look at me.
If it starts
Just got
doing a little
crooked.
too-
It just got crooked.
Okay. You guys can hear it if it rubs, right?
Yes, we'll let you know.
Why, it's
We're
the
like,
rub.
oh, it's the rub effect.
Okay.
When your vibration gets so high, you'll start sounding like metallic rubbing.
You guys are caught up in your own jokes. Okay.
You know, laughter is very healthy.
But when you laugh at yourself, it's the best.
You should be able to laugh at yourself. Oh my back.
What happened? Did you move this?
Yeah.
Oh, you've got me on individual. Okay.
Yeah, but every time I do that, then I lose them as being on top of this screen.
Okay.
Remember, you wanted to see
Okay.
how you were looking, so.
Got it. There you go. All right, light looks fine now. So you did that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I think we're all on here. Okay. All right. Are we ready?
Segment 4, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gail, you're on.
Okay. Well, hi again. This is Gail Hogue here with Gregory Hogue and Tracy Latz and Marion Ross. And today we are in our wrap up of this 4-segment program. And we want to really go over what you all have learned, what level of awareness your feeling has shifted for you, what your questions are, what the outcomes are. So we're going to just kind of delve in to how this has been, what lies in front of you as well. So how about some questions that we've had from people? What have we gotten?
I'll give you the first one was, I'm having problems meditating. What can I do?
Typically, when you're having trouble meditating, doing what we taught, that over energy correction, remember you cross at the ankles, one ankle over the other, put your hands out forward, thumbs down, cross over, grab, bring up under, the tongue gently towards the front, rests up behind the upper front teeth, and you just, on that ridge at the roof of your mouth, and you just sort of take a few slow, deep breaths, close your eyes, and allow yourself to center. That helps stop the mind chatter. Usually the meditation issue has to do with getting the mind chatter to calm down. For folks who continue to have issues, we do also offer some deeper insight into that. We have a How to Meditate When You Can't class that is online, and we have a more in-depth awakening awareness for people who still struggle. But for many, just doing the over energy correction, practicing the loving, compassionate benefactor meditation, especially if you're wearing a heart companion, it will open up the heart, which will calm mind. Because remember, we have that one magnetic field here, which is nowhere near as big as the EMF magnetic field, our heart energy, which is where that portal, that entryway that you talked about, Greg, when you begin to really allow spirit into your life, that entrance into that really is here. You know, there's a reason why most cultures, indigenous and otherwise, will talk about the importance of getting into a sacred space in the heart in order to really connect with God, universe, source, whatever you understand that to be. So the heart is a powerful entryway, and it really will solve the meditation issues, because meditation really is about settling this out to be able to enter this, which is where the peacefulness comes from.
As a practical matter, if you can't meditate because you're tired or you're going to fall asleep when you're sitting or laying down, I would stand up, just lean against the wall. It really is helpful. It's a practical tip.
No, we really did. We had a course once where a woman, every time she tried to go through this one meditation, she would fall asleep. And then we had been trained in another specific meditation method, and this person wanted to be a teacher of this. And every time she tried to even take people into it, she would go to sleep. And in the training of it, and I said, get up, stand up, lean against the wall, standing up, because you're not going to fall asleep if you're standing there. And there's no way you can teach someone else to do this if you're sleeping through it and you've never experienced it. So
anyway,
And
she acquired her brain and did it.
It's wonderful. And there are walking meditations.
Absolutely.
Really well with moving their body, and that helps them to quiet their mind. So lots of different ways. I would also just suggest to take a look at what are your expectations around that, because sometimes people have a thought form that a meditation is supposed to be something more extraordinary than it really is. I mean, meditating is really a very grounded, practical, application. It's not, some things that just gurus do. So look at what you think it's supposed to be. And I know, I'm an experienced meditator. There are some times where I can get into a meditation a lot easier than other times. And that just is, part of what's going on that day, and just make it okay. And also know that as you go on, you will find that you'll be able to drop into that space more easily, more deeply. And certainly we've experienced with our tools that they are designed to support you in going into that meditative space in a more meaningful way.
It's important to understand that there isn't a right or a wrong, and it's going to be a little different for everyone. For example, and Tracy, when you talk about putting the tongue behind the teeth, if I do that, it grounds me in my body. So I put my tongue toward the back of my throat. That's how I learned meditation from certain masters, probably about 40 years ago, when I started meditating different meditations. And I find that when I focus my tongue in the back of my throat, what happens is my energy moves up to my crown. I immediately start kind of sailing up very high, and then just allowing my breath to move. And the nice thing about the breath is the mind can get tired if you keep letting go of what your mind's wanting to offer you, that mind chatter, the thoughts, and you just bring it back to follow the breath and follow the breath. Eventually, it gets tired of trying to give you things, and you just end up being with your breath. And being with your breath is the essence of being with your life. And that's really what meditation is about, is just being present with what's going on in your body, and you just feel the energy. You feel your life force moving through you, and you allow your breath to go up and down. And sometimes you start feeling where you're breathing in and out through your stomach, or breathing in and out through your heart, or breathing in and out through the top of your head. Just feel the energy moving in and out of your body through different chakras, and that will shift the energy that you feel. But just be aware of the energy and feel it, and know that there's nothing wrong, nothing right. Just keep coming back to that space. And you can even do that, as I mentioned in the last segment, while you're listening to a friend, while you're working with your children, while you're doing yard work, while you're doing anything. Just be present with your breath while you're doing it, and have the experiences that you feel while you're doing things be part of your awareness, because that's all meditation is becoming aware until you're aware all the time of being present.
So you don't have to go into a cave. Thank you.
You'll also find that people
Mm-hmm.
hear the language of spirit in different ways, and we talk about that in various meditation courses. That I had a good friend who's a psychologist who we actually years ago in the 1990s would go meet for a twice-a-month meditation group, and she would get so frustrated. She would come out of those group meetings saying, I want to hear something, I want to see something. And I would kind of laugh and say, we have medicine for that, you know, just kind of joking with her. And because she would get so upset when people would come out of their meditation and talk about how, oh, wow, I saw this amazing thing and this person, and they offered me this and they did that. And other people would say, oh, I was told this or that, and I heard this most beautiful music of the spheres. And she would say she would only just feel things. And you have to understand that there's a difference between clairsentience, clairaudience, and clairvoyance, and that each of those are different ways that our inner still small voice or source, our own soul, will speak to us. But the more you practice, the more you will begin to feel and see and hear, and sometimes even
Smell and taste. Also taste. All of those senses are available with practice. But you're going to have a go-to sense or two when you begin. But you need to be patient.
And we're all different.
Yeah. Honor
You
yourself.
you don't have to be what someone else is.
No, you don't have to be a
That's
monk
right.
in a cave for 30 years to achieve what you want to achieve.
Stop judging yourself, and don't go into a meditation again, like you were saying, with a fixed construct of this is what I'm supposed to experience. You get into that space of allowance of that connectedness. And you're right also, some people really struggle with sitting still. And, you know,
Tai Chi and Qigong are perfect meditations for people that need to move.
and for some people, yoga, where they move a little bit and hold, move a little bit and hold, that tickling the back of the roof of your mouth is certainly an advanced technique too for people who want to activate pineal gland and go very high. But what I find is a lot of people need to be grounded and feel safe in their body. So I teach.
The spirit is integrating into matter. Matter isn't going up to spirit, but spirit's in matter.
I laugh because in early days, I mean, decades ago, people used to ask me to lead meditations. And I just say, close your eyes, leave your body. That's it. You know, what do I give things to people. I'd say, ask your guidance. Don't you all have guidance to do, tell you what to do?
Yeah, but the guides are always changing too. As you have your own evolution, your guides are changing.
And the interesting thing is, people like you or I, Greg, we've always been aware of guides and this other world. It's the people like Marion who grew up really in their thoughts so much that have no idea of guides or spirit, and that just sounds very kooky and weird. But everyone can learn that connection, but many people who don't have that connection just say, close your eyes, connect with your guides, and go. They would be like, I still don't get it. I'm not seeing, I'm not hearing, I'm not feeling. So that's kind of why, in a way, we teach together, because
I spent 3 years trying to meditate. I had an office in New York on Park Avenue. I'd unplug the phones. I'd make a list of things to do, make sure they were finished, and say, okay, I have half an hour to meditate. I'd set an alarm clock. I'm in the middle of Park Avenue. All the cars are rushing under. Closing my eyes. I'm just putting down my how to meditate, transcendental meditation. And saying, okay, breathe. And then the horns would start. It took me 3 years to learn how to meditate. Truly. So I know all about every technique possible. And finally, Qigong was so easy for me because it was moving.
Movement.
So it has to fit in with your personality too. And you have to overcome your resistance to yourself and your old habits.
she's the one who helped me understand that people really did struggle to meditate. And I was just sort of like, it's intuitive, because
You know, I spent 4 years in metaphysical school to understand that I had guides.
Wow.
It took me a long time. You know, I spent my first 45 years totally left brain. So,
there's hope.
question. Thank you. So, question number 2. I feel like I'm making progress, but I still feel angry at work and continue to stress about things I can't control. What can I do? Who wants to take that one?
don't you guys control everything?
Well, you know,
You gotta learn control.
let me start, and then I want to throw it back to our resident psychiatrist here. I have to tell you that I still get angry. I admit it. Do you still get angry?
Oh yeah, it's a normal emotion.
Exactly. And so I think the important thing is how do we self-correct? How do we become aware of what we're doing so that we can go, oh, do I want to go down that road? Or do I want to go down this road? You know, or just listening. I mean, sometimes I think it's rather amusing to watch and listen and go, it's crazy. What are you doing? And anyhow, it's, I think the more we become self-aware, the more that we have choices. And things will trigger us. And as we are, you know, moving more in this, you know, this kind of connection field, we will be able to have, you know, I'm just going to say more of a sense of not taking ourselves so seriously, a little bit more humor and lightness about it. Don't be a perfectionist. I think that's probably the most important thing in all of this, because it's not about becoming perfected humans. It's about evolving. And evolution means that we're going to be all over the place sometimes. So if there's still something that's triggering you, notice what it is. And it is, there's something there that your spirit wants you to become aware of, wants you to take notice of. You know, something to give yourself that sense of self-love and compassion so that you don't react and get triggered by the kinds of events that you may have in the past. So what do you think, Dr. Tracy?
I think you're right on with that. I think there's a certain amount of healthy anger. You know, if someone walks in and just punches you right in the face for no reason, I mean, they just come up and punch you in the face, I think, you know, anger would be a natural response there. The issue is, how long do you hold on to it? Do you harbor the anger? Do you sit and chew on it? And some people will chew on it for seemingly years. I've seen people in my practice who still are angry at someone for something that happened in first grade or second grade, and then it really becomes an issue. And you know, we talk about in our books and classes, we've talked about how, and you've touched on it some here, Gail, where nobody in fact makes us angry. We choose to be angry with someone. And we choose to continue to harbor anger when it becomes pathological like that. Now, it kind of skirts the whole idea. Part of that question is things I can't control. So if we just sort of stop for a moment and say, what do we actually have control over?
Our breath.
We control where we allow our thoughts to go, which will dictate our emotions. And then we choose our actions. That's it. I can't choose for anyone else. I can't choose anything that's going to happen 5 minutes from now. I can set my intention, which would be me taking my thought and fueling it by my emotion. In all of our courses and books, we talk about something called the bow and arrow theory of creation. And it has to do with when you have this bow, the strength of drawing back, how much I draw back my bow is the strength of the emotion. The arrow is my thought. So now I load up my bow with an arrow. And it might be, I think I want to go on a diet. So I'm drawing it back some, but what do we know about playing with a bow and arrow, maybe even as a kid? We put a little arrow in there and we scarcely draw it back and we let it go. How far does it fly? It just kind of goes down, doesn't go very far. But if we draw it really powerfully back and let it go, it flies powerfully to manifest out in the ethers. So if I'm sitting here and I say, I think I want to go on a diet, and then I walk into the break room at work, oh my God, look at the brownies. I want a brownie. You know, now I'm like, versus what's going to win out is this powerful feeling of, I want the brownie. I don't think I'm going on a diet today. So we have choices at every moment, but most people walk around with no awareness of this. And this is the beauty, although it seems silly, of that homework we gave in the very first teleseminar of monitoring where are our thoughts? Where did they dance? Because once you begin to become aware of where you actually allow your mind to dance in its smaller EMF creative field, if we're not opening this at all, this is all we're creating with. We can stop and think about that for a moment. Until we learn how to stop guarding our heart, which we do with anger and fear and guilt and shame, because all of that is actually fear. I'm angry because I got hurt and I'm afraid you're going to hurt me. Okay, I'm guarding my heart, which means I'm shutting down that field. I'm putting it in protective mode and putting concrete around it. It would take a nuclear bomb of love for me to feel that love coming at me now. So I think I'm all alone and abandoned, and I just get angry. So I feel completely out of control because I'm wondering why all these people are doing things to me and why I don't feel loved or lovable. So the more I can be aware of how I am blocking my own heart by the thoughts that generate emotions, because I can take any 5-year-old or even an older person, but 5-year-olds are very malleable. We could put them in here and say, boy, do you have a brother or sister? Yeah. What's their name? Sally. Do they make you mad sometimes? Yeah. What's the biggest thing that made you mad? They broke my toy once. Wow, I can't believe she'd break your toy. I know. And they were perfectly fine coming in here, but now they're allowing their thoughts, and I'm fueling it, by helping lead them that way. I'm not making them mad, but I'm just showing where thoughts can go. If they start taking thoughts into, this was done to me and I'm so angry, and then now I get them thinking about it, now that anger actually comes back and they're more angry again. This is the choice of where will I choose to allow my thoughts to dance and play today. This is the beauty of that oh so seemingly simple exercise of looking at what did I think about today? And did I feel joyful? How did I feel physically? Because this is certainly not a spiritual anatomy class. We certainly have taught that before, and really understanding all the layers of who we are and how certain thoughts about certain things will predictably create thyroid issues or stomach issues or different things. You can predict it. But just beginning to be aware of what thoughts create a sense of lack and futility and diminish my joy factor in my life, then I can begin to be aware of, ooh, that thought's coming up. Ooh, cancel, cancel. I choose not that. What can I substitute it with? You know, Sally always hurts me. Okay, you know what? Sally hopefully has evolved just like I have, or I can choose not to be around Sally. So I'm not going to let my thoughts go dance in that all day. I'm going to go do something that brings me joy, or think, you know, I am free to go enjoy my life, and so is Sally. Sally doesn't make me angry. I choose to be angry at her.
You know, it's so important that everyone sees when things are upsetting in their life, the thing to focus on, the thing to work on, it always comes back to me. And we've watched that so many times where people will say, everybody at work is mean to me. And then they get a heart companion and they say, everybody changed. Nice to me now. Isn't that amazing?
That's right.
I remember this one woman at a show when she was a lesbian, large lesbian woman who really was sure everyone was down on her. Everyone was, you know, not being nice. They recognized who she was and they were really coming back at her for it. And so I gave her a pendant. I said, wear this. Just wear it around the show. Enjoy the show. Just interact with people. And she came back in a couple of hours. She stood by my booth for another hour or so and told everyone, you got to try one of these. Everyone was nice to me when I went around. And you know what it was is her vibration shifted. That edge came off. You know, animals recognize it right away. Children recognize it right away. I've had grandmothers who say, my grandkids used to not come near me. Now they're crawling all over me since I'm wearing this. Her frequency changed. Her vibration changed. And the world knows it. The world is attracted or it's unattracted. And we have to just work on being attractive. And sometimes we don't know how, but it starts very simply why we started out talking about meditation. That's a great place. Just be in your breath and be happy to be with your breath. And just be happy to be present. And then other people find that attractive because they're having a hard time too. No one's out to judge you. No one's out to be angry at you. They're having problems in their life. Everybody seems to be. And you just need to be in a space where you're offering them an opportunity. They need to vent, far out. Don't take it personally. It's their problem. If, you know, you don't want to be a target, you can be invisible by just being in your breath. I've done that so many times where someone's been angry at me, and then a week later I show up and they say, I don't know where you were this last week, but I was really upset with you. Your guides must have taken you in the right place because I'm not angry anymore. You know, it's just like, oh, okay, far out. I missed that bullet because I was never aware of the bullet. I wasn't even focused on the bullet. I was just focused on living my life, and to be in the right place at the right time means you're not the target. You know, you talk about, you know, working with energy and working with different martial arts things. Well, the feng shui of it, or not the feng shui, but the, you know, qigong, you know, where you're working with qigong, where you step out of the way, let the energy pass. You don't have to be a target. You can let the person put out the energy, and you just kind of turn sideways and let it go past you. And then you're right there saying, I understand. Okay. I'll work on that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Well, let's
Don't
answer.
take the world personally.
That is right. Watch the Matrix.
Watch the Matrix.
When they
Let
shoot
those
the bullets.
go by.
Right. You don't have to stand up and say, I'm impervious. No, he moved.
That's right.
Yeah, you move.
Right, because to stand there and say I'm impervious is inviting someone to test that theory. But to really shift your own perceptions, then suddenly you don't even want to try and control anyone else, because really, do you want someone controlling you?
Mhm.
As a practical matter, you can make a little stop sign in red for yourself with stop in black. And whenever you're feeling that, you look at the stop sign, stop, you take a few deep breaths into your heart, and you recalibrate. That's what a left brain person does.
Mhm.
Ah,
Little stop sign in their pocket if they do this often and they're on the path, just beginning on the path.
or do people wear something around their wrist and, snap
Or
it?
they can buy a heart companion, which brings me to the next question. I have a heart companion. Everyone wants to try it. Are they going to taint it or change the energy if they use it?
No. There's energy flowing through that heart companion all the time. It's not like a crystal that can have a certain matrix where it takes on an energy and then rebroadcasts it. The heart companion is constantly refreshing. The energy is flowing through. So, you can loan your heart companion to someone, let them try it, let them experience it. It's not going to take on their energy. It's okay. You can still be fresh with your experience. You set the conditions when you first put it on that you're interacting with it. And that reminds me of well, if you had something you wanted to say
Well, I
first.
just wanted to say that this is something that we do and I recommend to everyone, that when you put your heart companion on or your eye connect in your pocket, just take it for a moment, hold it between your hands and just feel the connection and create that intention of having, whatever specifically you want to create for the day or for your health, your well-being, for the good of all, whatever it is that, is in your heart and soul. Just center with that and just let it be. It's a simple 30-second or less, experience that will help to just create that, we were talking about that reset button. It's a bit of a reset button that way.
The other half of that question was, as the energies of the earth and the cosmos change, does the heart companion need to be upgraded?
That's another great question. And, one of the things that within the technology of the heart companion, we have all these different antenna systems. And after these pieces have been made with their gems and everything else, we take them and we put them into our chamber. And they get exposed to these energies of the chamber that are working with geometries and sound and frequencies and inert gases and all kinds of things. That creates a coherence that is very, very powerful. And it's amazing, actually, if you feel the heart companion before it goes into the chamber and after, it's like, whoa, it's really different. It's like before it was sort of like, more raw energy. And now it was really, it was solidified. It became congruent. The chambers that we have on our land are constantly going through upgrades, through things that we're guided to add in, or just because the energies on the planet are shifting. And so that frequency continues to have a response with the different tools that we have, so that it's almost like a natural upgrade that people will get with these tools.
Another question that I had from someone was, do you have any devices for the home or the office that can infiltrate out?
You do. You want to talk about that?
We have something called the WeConnect, which we have two different styles. We have an advanced WeConnect, which I will flash on the screen and show you, and the original WeConnect, which creates, the original creates a wonderful spiritual context for the environment, and it goes out for miles to create a field that is very coherent and connected. And the advanced does that, but it also promotes a great deal of healing and connection. And it's very, very powerful in the energies that it generates. So again, it works very importantly with your intent to create the environment that you wish, to work on upgrading what you're interested in shifting in your life and in your environment, the work environment, the home environment. So we have a number of different tools and geometries on our website that create a higher vibrational field, if you wish, to create that, a field that's more unified. We have tools for meditation specifically that support you, and a left-right brain synchronization. So a lot of different things that will support you in addition to the Heart Companion and the WeConnect, things that we've discovered and put out over the last 30, 40 years. And something else that was a question that I saw that was kind of in alignment with what Gail was answering about the recharge. And sometimes we do, for people that feel they would like to have their pendant put through the chamber again, we'll do that when the chamber's gone through upgrades. And they can sometimes feel a little bit of a shift there. But sometimes people have often brought up the question that they felt it more at the beginning than they do later on. And what's going on there is, as you acclimate to the energies, you feel more in tune with it. And at first, it may be a bigger jump for you. The energy is still there. It's still something you can be interacting with. And actually, that's one of the most important things at that point of your experience with the Heart Companion, is to interact with it, as Gail suggested, or to really draw upon it by stepping out of your comfort zone in your life, pushing yourself to constantly be working with new things, to constantly be upgrading what you consider you're being asked to do in your life, to step into your power more and more, and then you'll feel the tool supporting you more and more. Sometimes we move to a place of comfort and then say, okay, I'm happy here. I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to stretch things. But it's like, if you play that game too long, universe will come in and make sure you get stretched, because we're here to grow, we're here to learn, and we're going to keep going through it. We keep, as Gail said, she notices she still gets angry. I inside don't think about doing people harm as much as I used to. I wanted to get upset. They do upsetting things to me, and now I can breathe through it more and more. Having two teenage daughters helped me go through that. They were, you talk about teachers, and it's like, well, what are they here to teach? I mean, it's for me to learn what's going on. So when they aren't doing what I think they should do, or behaving the way I think they should behave, what am I going to do about it? Am I going to force the issue? It's pretty hard to force an issue with someone that's a teenager that couldn't care less about what your thought waves are trying to do or what you believe in. It's like, come on, get off it, get real. And so I have to get off it and get real. And I have to do it inside. So it's a constant learning, a constant growing. These tools support me because I realize I have to keep working on it. I have to keep growing. There's never a free ride. And yet it does get easier and easier. I am happier and happier, and it's okay. I can let go, and it's okay. There you go.
We want out there that you'll a certain spot. And when that happens, that you'll become enlightened. And that suddenly when you're enlightened, you won't need anything, that you're done. And, you know, everyone has a continuing journey. And no matter how far along you are in that spiritual journey, you're going to have tests and challenges. Because again, like what you say, this is what we're here for.
You're at school.
And,
Right.
you know, we're never done. So you have to constantly be mindful of not slipping back into old ways. I've had people go through and they go through all this monitoring of thoughts, they shift it, and then they learn powerfully how to create. They create something wonderful, and then they go, yay, and then they move forward in their life, and they slowly stop doing daily Dharma sorts of practices and things that keep them centered and keep that connection to spirit open. And then suddenly they get upset that they have an issue again, and how could this happen again? And if they're just reminded about what they've learned and they begin to practice again, they're like, wow, why did I forget this? Why did I forget this? You know, and that's where, you know, we can't stress enough the importance of continuing the practice, continuing to be mindful, and doing things that do stretch you, and that connectedness with spirit, with your own soul, gets stronger, more profound, deeper, and you truly do experience that, you know, oh, my soul, I love you. You know, that really deep connectedness. But no one gets it overnight. You have to be open to it, allow it, work with it, just like you work with this heart companion. It's sort of like inviting a working with your own soul, which is beautiful. And everyone is, when you actually can look deep into, I don't care who it is, and I have worked with many people in the state hospital, in my private practice, in mental health centers, with my kids and their friends, and they're now all in college. And when you look deeply into someone's eyes and you actually catch the glimmer of the beauty that is there, and it is there, of every single person's soul, it's amazing. And all that we all want to do is help people recognize that, not just in others, but to recognize it within their own self and allow that beauty to come forward and manifest in our bodies and in the world, because, you know, that truly is heaven on earth.
Uh-huh.
We're
Beautifully said.
We're so fortunate, all of us, that we are constantly, every day, being given the opportunity to talk about this, to be of service to others, to keep perfecting things so that our tools are better, so that the ways of working with people are better understood, and we keep putting it out. And so I really encourage people to find things that they feel is a greater purpose in their life, to be of service, because it will keep you on track. It will keep you engaged. It will give you the opportunity to stretch yourself and test yourself again and again and again. And, you know, to take the time for us to sit down and do this seminar with you, it's an effort. But that effort so well rewards us that we'll do it again and again.
This is why
Because
we're here.
it's stretching us and making us more open to that love of existence that is.
You know, the other thing in reference to this is where we started at the very beginning, which is about being present in the moment. And to me, it also means being in love with what is in the moment, being, you know, open and passionate and inspired by what is. That, when you look into the eyes of a brand new being that's come onto the planet, and you see that, and it's as we get older, it's important to remember where we started. As an artist, I always loved that I would look at, there was a painter, German painter, Paul Klee. And one day I was looking at paintings that he had done as a young child. And then there were the paintings that he had done as an old man. And they were so similar. But at the beginning, when he was a child, he did it just sort of like in play and fun. And as an old man, he did it with experience and wisdom and compassion and, bringing in a whole nother realm of understanding. And so every single moment we have the blessing of being alive, being, able to experience what this is, what the universe is, what the earth is, what our love is, what our relationships are, what our gifts are, what our dharma is. And that is it's just so amazing when we remember who we are, what our higher purpose is, as we've been talking about. That keeps us going, it keeps us in that place of wanting to get back to the essence, to the practice, to the listening to that inner voice, being connected in whatever way. Our practices may change. The way I practiced years ago is, different than the way I practice now. That's okay, whatever it is. But to come back into that core of who you are in whatever way is your joy and play, that is the gift of being alive and being present in each and every moment.
And to stay present, practically speaking, you need some sort of daily practice. It doesn't have to be the same thing. It could be doing 5 minutes of breath work. It could be walking the dog with intention, hugging a tree, doing qigong. It could be singing in the shower, toning, chanting, anything that brings you to that place of presence. Don't expect to be present all day, every day. Sometimes we have a flash of the divine for a minute, for 3 minutes, for 5 minutes, once a day, twice a day. It takes time to build for those newbies. It really takes time. And the process isn't linear. You don't go from here to here. It's sort of a sketchy journey sometimes. But the more present you are and the more effort you make with focus and intention, the smoother the transition will go from being in mind chatter to living in the present moment with acceptance of that moment.
You can even do simple things. I mean, even in my practice, and now that I'm helping out at the state hospital a few days with some very severely ill people in state parameters with paperwork and administration, like you guys, it's state paperwork and administration. With that, to stay centered, I put around in my office, and it can be as simple as this: a picture here or a picture there, and it could be small, it could be bigger, or an item that all I have to do is look at it and it just makes my heart sing. You can feel that, and that helps keep you heart-centered throughout your day, even if you work at a very stressful place. Just having that little reminder. You know, it could be a picture of that newborn grandchild, or it could be with a close-up of their eyes, or it could be a lavender field, or it could be the most beautiful place you've ever been, or children, or a feather. You know, for me, I have right over there these feathers that have great meaning for me. Other people would come in and be like, why do you have that there? But for me, it just makes my heart open. Small things that may seem simple and silly can go a profoundly huge way to help work with your regular meditation, your use of tools and devices to help you stay centered, to just nudge you gently back to that center of life.
To remind. Remind.
Surround yourself with people who are like-minded when you can, because they will re-energize you. When you connect with other people who are very strongly guided by purpose and guided by the strength of that knowing and inner light, it helps build you up and reinforce your own knowing. And Spirit loves to reinforce people who are in service, to help others who may be in a place where they're trying to find out how they can get to understand who they are, or to be heart-centered so they can be in service. And Spirit will do everything it can to help support that. So when you're around other people who also feel purposeful and are walking that path of really changing, shifting consciousness and shining their light in the world, you'll find that you will feel, you know, almost like a respite from some of the world that may not be in that realm right now. I think there's a few people out there not in that realm right now. But the more that we can work together and support one another, the more powerful this shift will become. So that's part of the reason why we say, you know, find your tribe. Find the people that you really resonate with, because there'll be some people out there where it will be a group of people going to a certain church or temple or whatever, and that's fabulous. There'll be others who are going in nature, and that's all together, and that's fabulous. And there'll be others who want to sit in silent meditation, and that's fabulous. Ditto Qigong, fabulous. Ditto yoga, fabulous. There are many paths to get to that connectedness, and acknowledge the beauty of all of them, but acknowledge where you resonate and do what you can out of your own self-love and compassion for yourself to connect with people and places and scenarios that feel like home to you. Because that may shift over time. You know, just like Gail was saying, you know, what your practice was 10 years, 20 years ago was maybe different. It's all heading on a forward path, but you'll reach different frequencies and vibrations where the path that was working with you doesn't feel quite as much as at home, maybe is now this, and then that, maybe now this, and it's not in judgment of one's better than another or not. It's an issue of vibration, frequency, where you are in your path, and Spirit connecting you with people that have common purpose.
It's important to realize that Spirit will connect you. And sometimes it's so much fun to play the game of just working on yourself, working with your vibration, and then allowing, oh, you read something, this sounds interesting, you go there. But on your way there, you see something else and you take a left-hand turn. And then it's like, you know, you just follow this circuitous path through your life where you're bouncing here or there, and it's really Spirit knocking the books off the shelf, you know, bringing the people that you didn't expect next to you in line where you start talking and you find something where you've been working on yourself and there's that space for that resonance. So spirit will unveil itself there in front of you. You go, oh, that's why my tire blew out there. So I go into that shop and sit next to that person who dropped that, you know, it's just this incredible play. And sometimes talk about guidance. I go, what these guys go through to get us to the right space at the right time. She made 2 cards when she got to Boulder, 2 or 3, and had this picture she took of one of her paintings. Someone gave me one of her cards and said, you should meet this woman. I stuck it in my wallet as probably one of the only cards in my wallet. But a year later, we were interacting with each other. And then I said, wait a minute. I went to my wallet and I said, this is you, right? And he went, yeah, how about that? And so I carried her, you know, Spirit said, well, that didn't work. Let's try that. And so, you know, we're just playing out a game that sometimes the more mindful you get, you watch, oh my God, there's an orchestration going on here that my job is to allow. My job is to see it. My job is to be grateful for every step I've taken so that the next steps that are given to me, I am grateful for them too. I am grateful before I take the steps. And that gratitude will increase the number of fortuitous steps that come into your life. Be grateful for what Spirit is going to give you. Say, thank you, thank you, thank you for I know not what, but I'm open. And then you get something that looks like a pie in the face and you said, I didn't think I was asking for that. And then you lick off the pie and you go, well, that didn't taste too bad after all. Maybe it's okay. You know, a pie in the face. You know, our daughter saw that with a clown on TV, and then we were sitting when she was 3 years old at a restaurant. The person at the restaurant brought us a dessert, and she looked at both of us and went, boom, with her face in the pie. And we went, and then she said, it was funny when the clown did it on TV. Why wasn't it funny when I did it? Oh. You know, it's just a matter of perspective. What our life gives us and what we do and what we expect and what happens, what we don't expect. It's a wonderful play. Yes. It's a great time to be thankful for everything that we've been given, because we wouldn't have the wisdom we have now. We wouldn't have the compassion we have now, except for so many of the things that we all went through. And we all went through similar things. So we can relate. We know what it's like to be a human being. And there's a lot more human beingness to be and becoming. So
it's a journey. Indeed. It's a treasure hunt, and it leads us to the treasure that is our soul and connecting us to all that is. It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
So, do we have a little more time, or?
I think we're about up now.
This is a good close.
You know, what I would like to propose is, I know there's some more questions, some more things coming in, and that we're going to be splitting up and going different places for a little while. But I would like to propose that we add even another seminar onto this, that wherever we are, we will have people keep sending in their questions, and we will get to them, and we will make an effort to support them with yet another seminar in the near future that will be added on to this.
I think that's a great idea. So listeners, please send in your questions. Don't hesitate. Or any kind of issues you'd like us to speak about.
And there's no such thing as a silly question.
Even though we might think it's humorous. Which is okay, right?
Humor's good.
Can I add a quick thing to that? It's an old Peanuts cartoon where Linus goes up to Lucy and says, "Why do leaves fall off trees?" And she looks at him and goes, "What a stupid question." And next panel, "What a stupid question." She's walking off going, "What a stupid question." And at the very end, Linus is standing there holding his blanket going, "Even stupid questions have answers." And so it is. There's no such thing as a stupid question. They all have answers if we want to know why, and we can understand something more about who we are.
So
And it is an ongoing journey, and we look forward to more interactions and more opportunities to take our development into the next level, whatever that is. Whatever that is.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank you.
play together some more.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Much gratitude. Okay. Whew, we did it. We did it.
Wow, that was great. Got better and better.
Good.
We needed some lunch or something, to kind of
yeah,
Oh,
go up.
we're sitting on these stools.
we're stool pigeons.
Yeah.
Oh, you had stools?
Yeah.
yes.
Oh my goodness.
Not easy for posture.
We have comfy, cushy
Oh
chairs.
yeah, just rub it in.
So we'll give this to Lee to deal with.
Yeah.
Although,
Oh,
will
no,
he do it? I was thinking I might do
no,
some.
no,
of the-
you've got too much to do. But we'll talk to Lee about it anyhow.
Sounds good.
And there's some things he might do.
Whatever. It's fine.
He's also got people that can, put a lot of things together that are good. So
We have some people too, so it'd be good to have them clean it up.
yeah.
Whatever. Who's ever cheaper?
And
Yeah, let me slice it.
Yeah.
Nice and slice it.
Cut it up in
I used to
Okay.
think I was cheap. but- Okay, great. So what are we going to
How
do
fun.
tomorrow?
Oh, God.
Oh my goodness, sleep late.
Not me. What are we going to add in? So what are we going to be selling? We're going to be selling our membership site, which isn't up yet, of course. And we'll split that with you for what if we get members from your list, you'll get 50% forever.
Okay. Well, you know what? We'll
Just
let,
because you're you. So stuff like that, well, we can decide on how we're going to split whatever.
okay. That sounds
So
good.
we can talk about that later.
And I want to put this out to some other lists that we have too. Really, Raja's list we'll work with, and with Prageet, who we've done things with before. We put it out to our list, so I'm going to ask him. We can make a really nice flyer out of this, put it out to his list. And my thought is, when we were talking to Lee about the price for this, we were thinking about putting it more for the lower end, because what we're really wanting to do is to gather customers and clients that will
That's fine.
drop on us.
And have a broader audience. We just,
That's great.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, we're in
We leave
agreement
it in
with
your
that. That's good.
hands. Do it.
Okay, because we were thinking somewhere in the range of, didn't he say like 37, 47,
47, I thought. I think we're
something
talking
in
about
that range?
Whatever you guys think is fine for us.
Yeah, Lee, we had a conversation. I've got the notes downstairs.
With Lee, and he was suggesting some higher prices, and we said, let's go a little lower, and then, obviously we'll split that.
Yeah.
And split any of the costs that come up, and then so we can designate our list to you getting a percentage, and if and then we'll figure out for some of these other lists, you know, how we'll work that. We'll
Just figure it out. It's fine.
but
And
we
it will
have
be
some
on.
others. We have other outreach places where we want
Okay.
to put it out so we can bring more people into our lives to work with.
Fantastic.
So
We'll be giving the list to other people as well.
That's great. Tracy, when are you going to Europe, and how long are you gone for?
I'm only gone for a few days because
Oh.
so I'll be there for probably about 5 days, I guess. We're waiting to hear back. They may want us to teach a class one night over there before. And once I know if that's happening, then I'll know what day I need to fly over and when to get back.
Well, we should do a flyer because there are 18,000 people in attendance.
Yeah. So
Oh, wow. Well, talk to Lee.
It's huge.
it's the first week of November, so I will be flying out that last.
Yeah, the first
like-
week of November, like
October.
Yeah, I'll be flying over around the 1st or 2nd, and then coming back after
'Cause
that.
it's-
So you have a booth at this.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Fun. Very fun. All right. Well, we'll be in touch with.
Is it a
logistics and
very
things.
big booth? Would
No,
there?
it's
It's
3x6.
3x6? Yeah.
yeah, that's
Well,
right.
I think a flyer would be great.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we'll put a flyer together with our stuff.
We'll
in?
get Lee to
Okay.
figure out what to do with all this.
But I look forward to, as our second daughter gets off into school, that we're more in a position to be able to do things at different places around the world. And I would love to
Yeah, this time
come to
next year,
Europe and
she'll be in
play.
college.
Your invitation's open.
And
Thank
so
There's
to,
no expiration date except mine.
to do some
Oh, cool.
co-creative weekends there
Yeah, good.
in
Fun.
France, and I'd love to get over to,
Sounds
Switzerland,
good.
Germany, and the Swedish countries. I mean, there's a lot of people that
Oh, I
haven't.
can set something up in Scandinavia probably pretty easily.
Fun.
So let's, we'll talk more.
And Tracy, you're going to be able to be released from some of your
Yes.
work here
Yes.
too, soon, right?
Once we start making some money.
Hopefully
doing
at the end of this year, this academic year, I should, knock on wood, have 2 of my 3 graduating college.
Woof.
And so I'll be able to come back. I'll have one who will still have 2 years after this year in college. And, you know,
Hopefully they'll
my
have
goal
jobs.
eventually is to let go of my medical practice and let go of practicing in that way and
Mhm.
step more and more into this. So that's why we are now fully into the idea of doing many more
Online courses.
online courses, seminars, things to generate revenue. We've given away all sorts of things, and Lee was like, "My God, you guys have given the castle away." but I see what you're about. You know, why not let me help you
Take
sort
it
out
back.
a way to begin to generate more income from that, because I really feel purposeful reaching many more people at one time rather than me working with one
One at a
patient at a
time.
time, especially in the state system where,
Mhm.
you know, you'll catch, the joy is when you catch those couple of patients who get it and really want to transform, then it's like, wow, you know, but, you know, many of them are just sort of, I have no time there, let me get out of here. As soon as I'm not committed, I'm gone. So, you know, it's really working with interesting consciousness there. And I'm working more to shift the staff consciousness almost at times than I am otherwise. I'm on a committee where we're trying to get them to have more of a really big mind-body approach at the state hospital, where 70% of the male admissions now are forensic, incapable of proceeding to trial, some for murder, some for very violent crimes and things, but they've been found to not be mentally capable of proceeding, and so they're either too psychotic or too something. And so, you know, it's a hard crowd, but, you know, if I can shift staff consciousness, and and help with the few people there that are really on track with that sort of a plan, then I'll feel like I've left a good legacy there to be able to step out.
That's great. Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's like,
No, I really, like, we still have one going in next year and one there, a sophomore now. And her education is an expensive education. But we feel that, I mean, we're generating money doing this kind of thing online, doing things that we can live here at home and do it online, or, you know, travel in this sense of enjoying it. So I think, and we've been working with Lee for, is it going on 2 years now or so?
3, I think.
But bottom line, I really feel that this is a mode that's not going to be a letdown in financial flow, but an increase of financial flow as we find more and more people out there in the world that we can touch. And so this is just a very viable form of income and enjoy doing what we love to do. So I look forward to playing more and doing more, and I really do feel good about having Lee as part of the picture for all of us. It's positive.
yeah, I'm very pleased.
He's a very sweet guy.
He
I'm
is, and he,
so eager to get that membership side out, because I feel like there's so much through that that is going to reach people in a way that won't frighten them, because there are some people who really want more of a metaphysical discussion about these other realms, and people who are thirsty for that. There's also people where that would scare them, but they really want tools for dealing with chronic pain or with anxiety or things like that. And so that sort of a forum will allow people who have an interest in this to get into it, but these people will never see that, you know, unless they actually sign up for it, in which case then.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's sort of interesting because, you know, several years ago, we got started with some different telesummits. And we did some of the big ones, like with Darius, for instance, which is like one of the larger ones. And they were so much more compelling at the beginning. And I know he's still out there, they're still doing it. And they're just not getting the same kind of following that they did, because people get tired of it. You know, it's like the same format, da, da, da. So I think this is where we're heading, and the kinds of things that we're doing here are stepping up to kind of take the place of what people want to experience, what they want to learn, how they want to, you know, see their lives improve. So, you know, I think the big thing is marketing it well, you know, getting it exposed through, you know, all the different media platforms that we can use.
Well, we
And-
have a pretty big social media.
I'm sorry, say that again.
We have a very good social media network. We have about 150,000 on Twitter. And we have, I don't know, 10, 15,000 on Facebook. We have 7,000, I think, on Pinterest.
That's great.
Utilize that to the
No,
degree
we haven't
because,
used it at all.
you know, we need that platform to drive people to.
We've been driving people to free stuff.
Yeah. And they've been coming. We, you know, when we do that, we get 1,000 visits a day
New ones, yeah.
for people checking out things that they're interested in.
But we haven't monetized anything.
Yeah. So now we're
Well, when it's ready, then you're, you know, that is
yeah, it is.
great.
And
All right,
according to my horoscope, my life purpose, my peak of stepping into that is, I think, the day we're launching this.
Here we go.
okay,
Here we go.
So,
perfect.
Okay, I have to go take
Well, it's been a fun day.
Yeah, I'm glad
Thank you.
that was great that we
Great.
could all in one day. And tomorrow will be an easier day for you, Marion, with getting off to your journeys. Have a good journey.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So you've captured this, or have we as well?
This
Have
is
you-
on, it's on our private
Private
YouTube.
YouTube, and Lee has direct
Lee's
access
will-
to that.
Okay, so then he can download that MP4 and get it to probably this person, Jeff. And I will
Absolutely.
give Jeff a heads up and say, Jeff,
And he can assemble it.
some other stuff, we want to give you this, but you've got to start, getting some stuff done for us. So,
Yeah.
Good.
Lee may need a few days to convalesce once he gets that jaw surgery done. I'm not sure
Well,
when
he
he's,
didn't know he was having surgery.
yeah.
what was that?
Oh, you didn't know?
No.
Okay. Yeah, he has some issue from a
He has a
wisdom
deep
tooth that,
infection.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, he said you may be giving it to some other guy, and that's fine.
So we'll,
Yeah, we know probably the guy that, and so I will
yeah, he just,
I'll talk to him, but as long as he has access to it, then we'll
yeah, he does.
negotiate. We'll get pictures there. We have your book, but the one on Intura, the drawing and so forth.
Sure are.
Okay.
So we'll be able to take that image. If there's
Well, do you
any,
have the, do you
Yeah,
have,
I myself sabotaged that image as well.
Gail, you were saying?
I'm sorry, say that again, Marion?
do you have that image as a better image than us taking it out of the book? Do you
Yeah,
have?
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Okay, send us that. Anything else that you think you might need to send us from your end?
Maybe I'll look back over and see if there's some other thing that we added on as
All the homework stuff.
We'll
Mhm.
send you everything that we need to send you.
And the energies from the TriFlow system and for the meditation and so forth.
Okay.
We can attach that.
Yeah, we'll send
somehow.
all of that to you.
Okay,
All right, well, we have time.
all right.
Have a good rest of your weekend.
Take care.
Thank you, you too. We accomplished our mission, Yahoo.
Yay.
Blessings. Lots of love.
Blessings.
Yay. Woo!